So recording should start any minute now, and we'll then begin. So hi, good evening to everyone. I am Sudipto, and I am a licensed amateur radio or ham radio operator, and I am operating in from Delhi. So Delhi, India. If there are other viewers as well. So we'll first start with what is amateur radio in itself and why should we even care about it, and then let us first discuss like what do you see on screen right now. Right now you can see a screen full of people who are like communicating or holding something in front of their mouths, and even some equipments you might be seeing. All of them are actually licensed ham radio operators, and what they are operating from, where they are operating from, is from their shack. A shack just means your desk or a place at your home or your licensed area, that from where you are operating from. Like if it is your desktop PC and like that is your workplace, so that is your shack. So they are operating from their shacks, and they have some of them have walkie-talkies, some of them have base stations, and all of that. All of this will come later, but they have a lot of radio equipment in front of them, and they are trying to communicate, or some of them are even posing and like along with their radio equipments when this pictures were taken. So these are like some of the ham radio operators from India, and one of them is very renowned. We have Miss Bharati, who is like recognized even by the like the Queen and the like the Royal Society for communications, for their contributions to amateur radio. We also have Dr. Satyapal. They are the director of the National Road Safety Organization, and also they are the director of Indian Institute of Hams, that is based in Bangalore. And one more lady is there. Here we can see that there is a lady operating something. This is on board the International Space Station as well. So ham radio equipments are also like on board the International Space Stations. Why? Because all of this is an experiment, so we might want to explore all the possibilities of where this technology can be like experimented. So moving along, I'll just change my slides and I'll read some things out. You may feel free to take notes if you want. I'll send across the slides after like this class, and we'll go from there. So let us first discuss what is amateur radio. So we will start with the very bookish definition, because this is like required for your exam point of view, and then we'll just explain it in simpler English. So the amateur radio is when it is done by us, like normal citizens and otherwise. So that then it is called an amateur radio service. We are providing an service through amateur radio equipment. So that is a community service. This community might be your like usual community, the people around you, uh, but usually it refers to the scientific community at large. So it is a method of training, and intercommunication means like talking to people who are holding a license. Again, they are at the same level as you. You have to train yourself, you have to do intercommunication and carry out technical investigations by amateurs, that is person who are duly authorized under law and are interested in radio technique for non-commercial personal aim, and without pecuniary interest. So there are a lot of terms here that I might want to underline. So first of all is like interested in radio techniques. What do we mean by that? We all know that wireless communication is like really crucial these days. You might even talk with your cell phone, as well as also receive like FM radio broadcast on your like FM radio radios that you have at home. So all of this works on the principle of wireless communication. So a person should be like very interested in how that works, and they should not have any other commercial interest, like doing something for just for the sake of money. All of this, all of the amateur radio services that we do, or like investigations that we carry out from our homes, or maybe from our laboratories at schools, colleges, that comes under ham radio. This is totally like not for monetary gains or anything as such. It is for our personal non-commercial aim and without pecuniary interest. Pecuniary means like related to money, monetary. So we do not have any monetary interest. We carry out our training ourselves, like we do our research ourselves, we communicate with other amateurs as well, and carry out various technical investigations that are involved in it. So this is like the definition from the Indian Wireless Telegraph Amateur Services Rules 1978. These small terms like this rules and this year of this particular document, this is actually important from your exam point of view, but I'll just skip over it for now, and we'll get to that in the radio regulations sections again. But if you may feel free to note it down because that is important. So ham so we have like talked about amateur radio, but then how does the word ham come about? Now there are many theories about that, but like one of the most accepted one around the Indian radio clubs in general is that ham actually means for Hertz, Angstrom, and Marconi. These are three scientists which had like immense contribution in the field of radio communications. So to honor them, we are recognizing ham as a short form of Hertz, Angstrom, and Marconi. But officially, there is another theory that is Hyman, Almy, Murray. These was three students. They were doing their own practical physics practicals and all regarding radio communications, and they founded the Harvard Radio Club. So that is also like some of a theory that ham might mean that thing. So, amateur by definition means we are not professionals. So, what is professional then? We are not professionals, then what is a professional radio operator or anything like that? So, professional radio is usually meant in the context of like aviation communication or like maritime communications or military communications in general. So, when the air control tower talk to the pilots who are like controlling the aircraft, or like the navigators and the captains of the various ships that are out there, they're talking to the various land ground stations, and even from if we talk about it from a military point of view, if some person is talking to another one who is deployed at field, so that is like professional radio communication. But we are not professionals, we are doing this by ourselves, and we are just figuring out things. So that is like one of the things why it is called ham. Ham also sometimes means a derogatory meaning. It also has a derogatory meaning because you are lesser or inferior than the professionals. But anyway, we have used it for our context. So it is a hobby for enthusiasts or experimenters. Like you should have a knack to experiment with things, and like you have to know more. You should have a like a knack for knowing more technical things. So that is one of the joys in this. Let's call it hobby because it is just a highly specialized technical pursuit. But we can call it a hobby because we like this and we do not take up this as a profession. So the next point is a particular ham radio station. That is where your equipment, like it is. So the ham radio station means all your equipments and all your documents. A particular ham radio station is authorized to be operated only by the ham radio operator that is like licensed to use that particular equipment. But if there are other licensed amateur radio operators where that might be, for example, if you are in a radio club and your club has got or purchased a radio equipment set and that is kept at a club, then maybe more than one radio operator is operating that equipment. So that is allowed. So other licensed radio operators are also eligible to operate the equipment of that station, given that like the owner of the particular station is like present physically. So that is there. Otherwise, if someone does not hold a license, for example, your children, your parents, your siblings, your friends, your family, whoever it might be, your teacher, your like student, whoever that might be, who do not hold any sort of authorized license, they are not to even touch the equipment that is kept there, because then that the particular rule section that we are talking about, the Indian wireless telegraph rules, That also defines the sections that there is a punishment for people who are found in position of or are operating amateur radio equipment on like some of the frequencies that we will be using. And if it is found that people who do not hold a license or are not in a position of license, that is if they have their license but they are not able to show it when asked, so that comes under punishment, and there are hefty fines and jail time for that as well. So a person who does not hold a license is not to operate a ham radio equipment at all. So they can work with the data, they can listen to whatever is being transmitted. That is not restricted. But when they are transmitting or like operating, doing experiments like these, so it is only advisable that a person who holds a license does all this. That is there. Like just a bit of caution, because we know some people who have like tried to procure ham radio equipment, and then they don't have a license of their own. They will get into trouble eventually, and some of them have, and no one can help them in that regard. So just beware. Then, what is ham radio and why is it important, and what where it is used? Mainly, like one of the most important uses of ham radio is only for like the scientific experiments, like how far am I able to like get my word across through wireless communication, and what like how low power can I use, and all of that things. But in real life, we also see that ham radio is very heavily used during for providing communications during disasters, when like the grid is down and no mobile towers are working, or any other mode of communication will be is very inefficient. Their ham radio comes very useful. Then there are major events, religious events, or even events in other events in general, like Ganga Sagar Mela, Kumbh Mela. In those scenarios as well, ham radio has a lot of use for mainly like the operation of control towers, who like do the lost and found, and like provide announcements, or like instruct the on ground volunteers so where to go and all. So in those events, it is ham radio is really essential. You might have even seen people with their walkie talkies moving around in at some events. So there is then the next use case is communication during sports events like the International Olympics. That ham radio is used heavily over there as well. Car rallies in the South India, a lot of car rallies happen over time. So in those car rallies, like the communication between the driver and the navigator and the like the team head or the control tower has to be there. So in that sense, also ham radio is employed there. Then comes trekking and all of the mountaineering activities. One trekker or mountaineer might want to be in touch with the base camp and other mountaineers as well. So their ham radio has a great use case as well. But overall, it is a means of technical training for motivated and curious people like us. As I said, professional radio communication is used in aviation, maritime operations, that is with ships and vessels, military operations, and amateur service is very non professional in nature. Now, the community of these ham radio operators is like really diverse. It includes like people from all walks of life. That might be like a small kid who is studying in school, like middle school. They include doctors, accountants, armed forces people, people who have served already or are serving. Excuse me. Social activists, artists, politicians. There are a lot of notable politicians who are also ham radio operators, sports persons, other teachers, professors, scientists, and students. This is like a non-ending list, and there are more people in the community. But this is just to highlight the fact that you do not require some special sort of background to get into ham radio. You do not need any credentials, you do not need any like for what we say like the formal graduation or formal class 12 certificate or anything like that to get into amateur radio. If you are curious enough and you possess like the basic skills for understanding what the technicalities of a radio communication is, you are more than welcome in this world of ham radio. The next thing is the love for science is of utmost importance. Other than that, like that is I'm highlighting again and again. So you might be seeing two pictures on this slide. First is from like a Ganga Sagar Mela. This is West Bengal Radio Club. They conducted this particular communications during Ganga Sagar Mela. This is just a picture, team picture that they have like clicked. So this just shows that it is actually used during that event. The other thing, the other picture that you might see here, it is from a car dashboard. You can see like there are various equipments that are kept here. Some of them are like navigation instruments like maps and all, and but the others are like ham radio equipments to keep in communication or in touch with the other people who are in the team, or maybe people in other cars of the same team, and things like that for communication, better communication. So that is there. Next is like what are the different activities that we do as amateur radio operators. So, like we might get the license and the tag of being a licensed radio operator, but what do we do actually? We are interested in worldwide communications. Like we might be sitting here in Delhi and I want to talk to someone who is in like London or Canada or Russia even. So we are interested in worldwide communication using the properties of the atmosphere and like the laws of physics to cover large distances and talk to people in other countries and other geographical locations. That is called Dxing. Dx means distance unknown. So we don't know what distance we are able to achieve, and we would like to achieve unknown distances and like talk to people over unknown distances. So that is Dxing. That is one thing. Then we also like to create our own equipments from scratch. That activity is called home brewing. The other things are like contacting other station, as many stations as possible. During contest, this happens like we are given points on the basis of how many stations we are able to contact and all. Then carrying out technical experiments on the field as opposed to at your home or at your lab in the college. You might be interested in carrying out technical experiments at some park or at some island. That is called a field day then. We also have radio direction finding sports that is called fox hunting. I will share some clips in the group regarding that. You can see like how that works. Then there are satellite communications and moon bouncing. That is Earth Moon Earth communication. Like you use moon as like a mirror for like just bounce your signals, like send your signals to moon and like then get it back to somewhere on Earth. So that is really like really interesting subject. But that is what we are into. We are also into like satellite communications and moon bouncing. But as we are humans, we also like to have some casual conversation, like we have with our friends and other like-minded people. That is called rag chewing. And other than that, lifelong learning is already there. So this is like what is amateur radio, and what are the different activities that we are interested in as a ham radio operator. So these are some pictures of people who are doing home brewing. Home brewing means like creating your own equipments from scratch. So you create your own entire radio equipment or some part or some accessory at your own home or at a college together with students. So that is called home brewing. Next, we have field days and fox hunting. So in the left, you can see like this is from the Pune Radio Club. They have like assembled at some location outside of their homes, and they are conducting a field day event. So they have their radio equipments laid out in the field, and they are operating from there. Next is the fox hunting. You can see someone like holding an antenna, and they are just trying to find out where a signal is coming from. So in fox hunting, what we have is like it is some sort of a game only. A person or a particular location is chosen to be like a fox. So they have a particular radio equipment with them, and they transmit like a particular tone or something or signal at regular intervals. And the goal of all the participants who are playing the game, it is like they have to search where the signal is coming from. So using the properties of antenna and getting the most signal in what direction, they can like find out the direction where the signal is coming from. So they find the location out where the signal is coming from. Then, as I said, satellite communications and Oscar. Oscar means orbiting satellite carrying an amateur radio equipment. So there are some special satellites. Even India had its own satellite active. That was the HAMSAT. So satellites like these are uh, they might be geosynchronous, they might be geostationary. So they like act as reflectors, like up above, in the like the low earth orbit, or even in other orbits as well. So you transmit to the repeater on that is like, or any ham radio equipment that is kept on the satellite, and it then transmits back at a specified angle, so you are able to cover much larger area with your particular instrument. And then you might also want to receive satellite communication. So that is one thing we are into. Okay, up to this point, if you have any doubt only up to this portion that has been covered, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll move forward with some technical terms that we have to know before we go forward. Just I'll wait for 30 seconds. If someone likes to unmute, please unmute yourselves and go ahead, please. Okay, so no one has any doubts until this point. That is really good. But be please feel free to ask the doubts in the group, as well as like during the calls wherever you find it that you are not getting something. Next thing, the most important term like from this class will be, we will be covering a few important terms before we go into like the next parts of our syllabus and all. So this is an important term, call signs. You might want to write it down. So each station, each particular radio, amateur radio station, they are identified by a unique name. Like you might have a username on social media or Facebook, or like you have a unique mobile number. That is like the unique way to identify you in like the 2G world or 4G world or Facebook. That is a unique name for you. Just like that, you have a call sign in amateur radio, or even any professional radio, even you have a call sign, and that is how others identify you. It is not your name. Like my name is Sudipto, but Sudipto is not my call sign, and I cannot call like on air, Sudipto, please respond to my call, and I am operating from some this place. Can you receive my signal? That is not allowed. That there might be 100 Sudiptos in the world. You have a unique name, that is your call sign, that is like used, that is to be used during all communication phases. It is not your name. A name of the operator is called a handle, in short, in radio terminology. And this call sign is assigned by the government, respective governments. It is not only assigned by the Indian government itself, but it is assigned by all governments which like identify, which have recognized this amateur radio services. All of them assign you particular call signs, and that consists of a set of letters and numbers. There are no special characters like punctuation marks and all. It is only consisting of sets of letters and numbers. There are, there is a part in the call sign that you have that identifies what geographic location you are like communicating from, or you are talking to someone from from a particular region. That is called the prefix, the first few letters. Sometimes it is two, sometimes it is three. That like identifies the geographical location you are operating from. So that is the prefix. And for the exam point of view, you might want to read these two lines, that a call sign may be a one character and a single digit followed by a group of not more than four characters, or like two characters and a single digit followed by a group of not more than four characters. So, for example, there are three call signs on this slide: VU3 Zulu November India ZNI, VU2 DLR S21NO. These are call signs of various ham radio operators, and this is just like I am taking an example of these three. Here in these call signs, this VU3 and VU2, these are the prefixes. Here S2 is the prefix. For example, just for variety, here VU3 and VU2 are the prefixes. S2 here is the prefix. Here these denote like the geographic locations where the person is operating from. Here in this case, it just means that the first two operators are from India. VU3 and VU2 are both for India, and this S2 is for Bangladesh. So someone from Bangladesh is like communicating, so they will use this prefix S2. So the call sign blocks, that the prefixes that we just talked about, that are allocated to India in itself. This might come as an MCQ question, that it is 8 TA to 8YZ, and VTA to VWZ, ATA to AWZ. So these are like the unique names that are assigned by the government. These your particular call sign would be somewhere around here only within this allocated range. Yes, there are various demarcations that we have, like Indian government has made a standard that certain characters will be used for like planes and aircraft, some characters will be used for like ships and vessels, and some characters will be assigned for like the amateur radio operators. So that is there, we'll come to that later. But like this is the like the concept of call signs in general. There is a website. This is called qrz.com. You might find this when you type it on your browser, Google Chrome or something. So what qrz.com is, it shows you all the details of a ham radio operator when you put their call sign in the search box. So there is a search box. If you like enter VU3 Zulu November India ZNI or VU2 RBI, something like this, and you press search, it will like show you more details of that particular user. So there is this profile page, all of you can customize once you get your license. But otherwise, even you can also like register using your emails and get on to this qrz.com website, and you can do searches and all. So that is one thing. This is like a diary of contacts that is like registered globally. It's a database of all ham radio operators. Okay. Next, first we have talked about our names, that what we have to identify ourselves as, that is using our call signs. Next, we have our location that we must tell people. At the beginning of the session, I told you I am operating from New Delhi. So if there is another ham radio operator or any radio operator for general, they might find it useful to like tell the other person that I am operating from this place. So that is called you're transmitting your location basically. So for that, ham radio operators have like devised a system so that we can efficiently tell our location. So if I tell New Delhi India is where I am operating from, and if like the signal conditions are bad, if my signal is not going through, someone might not even understand what I am trying to say, right? So this is a problem. And sometimes when we use Morse code in general, that I'll come to a bit later. So using Morse code, we might want to have as few letters as possible to like transmit our location. If you like go back into the days of where telegraph messages were sent from the post office, you were actually charged by word or by character. So that is there, we might want to use as few characters as we want when transmitting, so that the location is transmitted very efficiently. So we have a geocoding system that describes our geographic location very succinctly and very efficiently. This is also known as Maidenhead Locator System. So if you find it with the name Maidenhead Locator System somewhere, don't get confused. So in this system, we have a set of letters and characters. Some of them are capital by convention, some of them are in small letters. So these this is how it looks like. This is called a grid square. A grid square is just a identifier for your location, whereas like you can use your district name or your city name, like that you can use your grid square to like tell your locations. So for example, here we have BL11BH16. So all each of this letter has a specific meaning, each of these digits has a specific meaning. So if I go to this page right here, you can see a map of the world. This is a world map, and you can see there are various grids that are drawn across it, and all of them have like a specific two letters assigned to it. So we'll go from left to right and bottom to top. You can write this down after the fact, but left to right and bottom to top is how the Maidenhead locator system or grid squares work. So we assign a particular two letter code that is called the field, and that will identify you first of all your like horizontal and vertical location. For example, if we are to consider India, you can see ML is written over there. So we will go from ABCD up to M, uh, like horizontally or along the latitudes, and then we'll go along the longitudes to like L. So we will find out that it is specifically we are talking about ML here. So that is a part of India. So if you are only able to transmit even the first two letters of this particular grid square locator, you have already told the other person, if they are from another country, that which part of the world they are contacting. So that is like really efficient. Now if you look at it, now each of these grid squares like is divided like numerically, and it is subdivided into various other divisions as well. So that is called a square, subsquare, and extended subsquare. All of these make up this particular identifier BL11BH16. And this is a particular website. You can enter your coordinates or your name of the city or the district where you are located, and it will give you like the six character grid square locator that you can use. So if I am saying that I am from Kalyani, or in West Bengal, I am operating from this place around here, I'll not say I am operating from Kalyani, I'll say I am operating from NL42FX. So it is like a really short way of putting the entire information across that where I am situated. So one of the tasks, if you want, is like to find out your own grid square, and send it on the group, so that others may also know that which part of the country we are studying from. So I'll send the link to the grid square locator after the class. But this is where you can use and find out your own grid square. So one more thing, one more abbreviation you might see here is a QTH. QTH is nothing but your operating location. So you are actually transmitting your location only. So you are transmitting your QTH. Now, this is another map you are saying. So, this is a division of the world into three regions. This is called the ITU division into ITU region division. The ITU means International Telecommunication Union. So, they have divided like the world into like three regions at a particular like a meeting, official meeting that we will call convention later on. But they have basically divided the world, the geographic locations, into three different regions. India falls at region number 3. So you might want to remember that, like the Asia and Australia and all of that come in region 3. Region 1 is Russia and Eastern Europe, and region 2 is like you have region 1 is that, and region 2 is like the Americas and all. And so this is how like the region division is there. There are other divisions as well, like ITU zones. This is ITU region division, what is shown on in this particular map here. But there is a ITU zone map as well, and a CQ zone as well. What are the differences between these three things? The ITU region was actually the official thing that was recognized. ITU zones came later, where we wanted to like just use just like grid squares. We wanted to identify different geographic locations, and then comes the CQ zone. CQ is a magazine name. It is the name of a ham radio magazine. They also have like before these rules came into place, they had already divided the world into a few zones. So that is how CQ zone comes about. So you might see that what I am talking about here is how to describe your location where you are operating from and your name. So you have all these two parts of information that you can like use somewhere in the communication. So these are there. You might just want to have a look at it, and if you are interested, read more about it as you go along, and even during your weekdays when the, classes are not going on. So you have like these two bits of information. Now let's go back to what we are originally here for. We are here for the ASOC examination training. What ASOC means, like the Amateur Station Operators Certificate. So we want an amateur station operator certificate, and for that we are applying to this. We are taking this exam to get the license to be a amateur station operator. This is an objective type examination. That is, you. This is a tick mark question. You will be given four options, and only one of them is correct. And you have to like basically take it. There is like no OMR sheet or something like that. You have to just tick the correct answer that is there. There is no negative marking, and like yeah, that is the basic thing. So it is conducted by a particular department under the government of India, that is called the Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing. Also, in short, it is called the WPC. This is like important short form. WPC is Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing. This comes under the Department of Telecommunications, under the Ministry of Communications, Government of India. They conduct this examination at some designated test centers only, not randomly. Uh, they are conducted at wireless monitoring stations or international monitoring stations across India. So what these stations are and what the exam centers, what your exam centers will be, I'll share a list, and you can see like what the closest exam test center is to you, and you can have an idea of where you have to travel when the time comes to take the exam. So wireless monitoring stations and international monitoring stations, what they do is basically they listen to all of these frequencies and just to make sure nothing illegal is happening on all of these bands. So that is where that is your examination and where it will happen, and it is conducted by home. Then the aim is to get the amateur wireless station license. It is divided into two categories. You can go for the restricted category or the general category. The difference between the two is only with the like the power you can transmit. So we'll come to that later when we study the laws regarding this distinction. But the only difference is the power that you are able to transmit, and some things like Morse code and other modes of communication that you are able to transmit and all. I'll advise everyone on this call to just go for restricted ones. The reason behind this is you will not be demotivated. Once you are on the air and you are like a licensed ham radio operator, now you have like the all the credentials to own the radio equipment and listen to radio communication rate. So after you listen to all of these radio communications and also operate within your restricted category, you have explored it all. Then when the time comes, you have gained enough experience and you have also like learned Morse code. You can then just again go for general grade. But if you go for general grade just right now, or when you just take these sessions and you just go for general grade, you will find the questions are a lot harder, and it just seems like a college electronics, like advanced electronics course. They are asking something from that part, that topics. And you also have to give a like a Morse code test at like a high speed, so that you will get demotivated really fast and you will just quit the hobby. So I don't want that to happen. So you will just go for restricted grade, and when the times comes, we'll just upgrade together. So the advisable pathway is from an SWL. SWL means a shortwave listener or anyone who's interested in like radio communication. You all are SWLs at this point. You will go from SWL to a restricted grade, and then you will go to general grade. This will take years. There is no harm in saying that. But eligibility is only you have to be an Indian citizen. If you hold a foreign passport, you are not eligible. Like, excuse me, like if you are a foreign national operating in India, you have to like go through special things, but you will not get like a really that thing. You have to be a Indian citizens to have a Indian call sign and all of that. Sometimes foreign nationals might be given like Indian call signs for a short period of time, like until their visa expires. But Indian citizen you have to be, and you have to be above 12 years of age. So anyone above 12 years of age are able to get this license. So that is like one thing, that if you just consider this, a 12-year-old is attempting the examination same as you. It is kept at that level only. It is not really that advanced, but still. Then the license validity, the license comes in two forms that depends on whether you select a 20-year license or like a lifetime license. Lifetime is not what it seems to be. Lifetime is up till you attain 80 years of age. So if you are 40 years of age right now, if you get a lifetime license, that will be same as getting two 20 years licenses along the way. So that is there. The 20-year license can be renewed, and there is a fee associated with it. We'll study that later. But the concepts that we'll be learning in this session, and for the sake of the examination, is basic electronics and the radio regulations, part A and part B. These are 50 marks worth. And there is an optional part C that will not be attempting, but I'll be introducing you to basic Morse, like to identify how to identify the Morse code. But Morse practice will take time. Generally, it takes around 6 to 8 months to get the practice where the test will be conducted at, the speed at which the test will be conducted at. So we'll just go with part A and part B for now. We'll target the restricted grade and we'll get it. So after that, the exam fee is rupees 100 only. Earlier, it was rupees 10 only for like the restricted grade. So if you just pay rupees 10, you might have got the license back in the day. But now the exam fee is 100 for each grade. So if you pay rupees 100, you take the restricted examination, and then the results are declared. You are pass or fail. That is a different thing. But if you also then again later down the line you apply for the general grade license, you will again have to pay rupees 100. So that is the exam fee. This will be charged by the government of India itself. I will not be charging, obviously. I am just providing you the training, and this will be paid to the government of India when the time comes. Then let us have a quick look over the documents that are required for the examination. Many of us have this doubt, like what documents do we need, and who can sign the document, and where do I go with my documents to get them attested. So we'll just cover that real quick. First is a date of birth proof is very necessary. It has to be a birth certificate if you are born after the 1970s, or if you have any. If you have a birth certificate and with the registrar of births and deaths at your like wherever you were born at that district, it is mandatory that you show that. Otherwise, if you do not, like if you do not have your birth certificate, then only you can go for a class 10 certificate for your date of birth. Otherwise, please go for a birth certificate, because they have like some rules that a date of birth has to be a birth certificate proof. Pravida, I'll just take your question just after this slide. Please hold on. Then next is a PAN card. A PAN card is mandatory, like whenever you register for this examination. So whenever if you do not have a PAN card, please apply for it, and you need your PAN card to apply for this examination. Next is a identity proof. It has to be Aadhaar or passport. The election photo identity card does not work as an identity proof in this case. So you can go with passport if you have it, or Aadhaar copy will work. Then is an important document called the Nationality Certificate, that is mandatory. So how this nationality certificate looks and all, I'll just show you in a bit. You also need address proof, that is passport, Aadhaar, your voter card or driving license, ration card, everything works. A passport sized photo and a scanned signature. All of these are needed to sit for like apply for the examination. Then there is a certain condition, like they offer you to just like let the basic electronics test go. You are not required to like sit for that particular section. That is only applicable if you have a BE, like bachelor's in engineering or bachelor's in technology in electronics and communication engineering, or electronics and telecommunication engineering, or a BSc or MSc in any of these fields, or a diploma. Then you are like exempted from the basic electronics test. Otherwise, you will be asked to appear for the entire test. That is, it is not really hard. It is class 12 level only. But anyway, one thing to note is like the certificate courses, and if you have like a minor degree during your college in electronics or telecommunication, that is not accepted. That is one thing a doubt is of many people, that I have a certificate course in, for example, in electronics, or like I have taken 4 courses or 4 semester courses of like electronics. Am I eligible for this exemption? So no, you have to have an entire BSc major degree in electronics or communication for that. Naresh is asking, yeah, Naresh, I'll just take your doubt after this. Next is a proof of station location. That, for example, now if you are living at your own apartment, or your own house, that is not an issue. But if you are living at like a housing society, or at a cooperative housing society, or you are living at a rented apartment, then it makes sense. If you have to have like the lease document, or like the NOC, no objection certificate, from the property owner. that I can like set up my stations. It is similar to that thing that I want a telephone line to be set up at my home. Do you approve of it? It is like asking that thing only. A minor documentation has to be submitted regarding that. But otherwise, if it is your own premises only, your own families, Aadhaar will work. Then all of these documents that we just talked about have to be attested by a gazetted officer. Self attested documents are not accepted. So you cannot write and sign your own signature and write self attested. That will not work. You have to go to a gazetted officer of the government to get this thing done. This is actually coming in from the earlier old regulations, radio regulations, and all of that. So nothing has changed on that regard. So that is a bad thing, if you say. But yeah, there is no leniency on that part. It has to be like attested by a gazetted officer. These identity proofs and PAN cards and all of that. The nationality certificate, on the other hand, that can be issued by many people. I'll share the list of who can issue this nationality certificate and how it looks like. But now, let me just take quickly the questions of Prabirda and Naresh ji. Prabirda, please go ahead.
Yes, regarding attestation of document, so any gazetted officer coming under Group A is allowed, right? This is my first question. Like there is no compulsion that there is no any restricted thing that the officer should be WBC. So anyone, the gazetted officer having the rank of Group A is allowed. This is. And second question is that the documents, the Aadhaar is, I think Aadhaar is the best, and date of birth, admit card will be allowed. And another is the PAN card, all the documents will be attached in which section of the application process you can tell in detail that we find stepwise. Like, while attaching or going to the form online, first I'm attaching other, attested other, then, address proof, ID proof, other, then, birth document is admit, then all the common documents, where it will be attached. If you can kindly, elaborate, that will be fine for us. Thanks.
Thank you for the doubts, Prabir. Will I'll just answer that. So first of all, it is like any gazetted officer. It is not required that the person is from a WBCS officer or like that. Not from a Group A. It can be Group B also. The reason is like it is just a formality sort of thing. So it is just any gazetted officer of the state or central government. Like even your government hospital doctors can, so some senior doctor from your government hospital can also sign. So they are also gazetted officers. District medical officer, if you say, or the chief medical officer of your district, they are gazetted officers. You can go to their particular office and ask for it. There is no fee involved. But yeah, anyone works. Even like if you have any veterinary doctor, they can also like sign on your document. Any judicial magistrate, if you have access to that, they can also sign on that. Not a notary, it has to be a gazetted officer. But otherwise, any officer can sign a document. I just saw you ask that whether an IRS officer can sign or not. If you know them personally, that is well and good. You can obviously approach them. But if you don't, it is not mandatory that you have to know some IAS officer. Then they will attest to your documents. Nothing like that. You can just simply ask that I want to like get a radio license, and this is my application form, and these are my original documents. This is like the photocopy of my document. Please attest it and put your stamp and signature on it. That is the simple thing. You can just go to your medical officer. Like I went that route only. Otherwise, you can go to any other gazetted officer of state government or central government. Like yeah, it's preferable. It is a if that is a WBCS or a IAS officer, but does it is not a mandatory like the district medical officers or district veterinary officers and all of that. You can just simply get it done from them. But yes, government even yeah, the government colleges and government schools, if you have their headmistresses, their headmasters, principals, they are also gazetted officers of Group B. They can also attest your documents. So the next question is like, where do we upload all of these documents? I'll be walking you through the entire application process after this. Even my next slide is that only. So I'll show you where to attach and what to attach and what are the different steps in the application process. We'll go through it, Prabir. I hope that answers some of your questions. Naresh, you are from computer background. Can you apply? Yes, I am also from computer background. I hold a BSc honors computer science degree. We can apply for it, but yeah, you will not get the exemption for that basic electronics. You have to take that test. Next, Motia Rajan sir asks that is it like we take a photocopy of the, yeah, you have to take a Xerox or photocopy of your documents, black and white, simple, no color requirement. Just take a photocopy of your original documents and carry your originals with them, and just show it to your whatever officer you are approaching, that these are my original documents. This is the photocopy. I need an attested copy of that. Why do you need it? You just say that I am applying for this amateur ham radio license from the government of India, and I need attested documents for the same. Yeah, so these are the doubts we had. Also, now we are like it's 7, almost 7:40. So I'll just quickly wrap up this session with a few other things. Like this is one thing that I really want to cover within this particular session. So right now, all of us, not me, but yeah, even I am a shortwave listener, so this applies to everyone. So all of us are shortwave listeners right now. We have to first get our documents attested. That is like attestation of documents comes, like it is the first thing on our thing. But that does not mean you have to like right now panic and go where I can attest our documents. You can go through this entire course. Whenever you get your time, please get your documents attested, and I'll share my documents on the group if you want it, or I can share it right here in some class, next class. You can see my documents, and that is how the attestation will have to be done. Next is, once we have all the attested documents, we need to apply on the official portal of the government of India for this purpose. That is the Saral Sanchar portal. I'll show you how to what options to click where. I'll go through the detailed process some other time, maybe in the next class itself. But otherwise, we have to apply there. Then we pay the required exam fees, that is 100 rupees. After that, there will be a scrutiny of your application. Application will be verified, like if the details are correct or not, because you are uploading your identity details and all of that. If that is verified, they'll issue a hall ticket or admit card. Otherwise, if it is rejected, then it is rejected. Like it will be communicated back to you using your SMS, and like also email, that your application has been rejected and you have to like submit a new application. One doubt here might come is, will I get the fee refunded if my application is rejected? So unfortunately not. That is not how government of India right now works with the tax, this financial side of things. But once your application is verified, your admit card will be issued. Once you get your admit card, you will attempt your examination. Your admit card will be issued exactly a week before your exam. So don't be in the thing that I am not getting my admit card, should I postpone my studies and all of that. So you will just get it 1 week before, then you have to attempt your exam. If you pass, you can go ahead, then apply for the license. How we will do that, we'll see it in a bit. But otherwise, you have to again go through the entire application process, reapply, reattempt the exam. So once you pass the examination, you have to like apply for the license. There are certain more fields now you have to say, like if you have a rent agreement and your owner agrees, then you have that document also. So all of that has to be like uploaded. Then you apply for the license. Once that application is also verified, you are given the license, and a call sign that I just spoke about is assigned to you, and you download your license certificate, whatever document that is there. And that will be like you have to like carry it everywhere. It is just like any other identity document that you have, but more so if you have, like if you are carrying any amateur radio equipment, you must be having your license copy with you. Next thing is like, once you have your license, Then if you want to upgrade to the general grade, you just go through all of it again. But the thing is, like, now you have gone through it once, so not a thing. Now it is 7:43, but I'll still, if you allow me 10 more minutes to just complete this session, I'll just complete it. Will not take much time more than that. So this is like the process. I'll share the stepwise process in it, but this is like an overview of how it actually will take place. So these were like the documents required for the examination. But what after it? What practical things do we need to like operate a radio station, like amateur radio station? What do we need, and what do we need compulsorily? What is optional? The things that are required to operate a radio station is a transmitter, a receiver, obviously, because you are transmitting a radio signal, you are receiving a radio signal. You want an SWR meter. What SWR means, we will cover that when we discuss the theory. Frequency counter, a dummy load, proper earthing and grounding of our entire area or building, that has to be there. And then the mandatory things are like there is a station logbook which contains all the details, like whom did I contact up to where. Now usually you might think that why are we keeping this special logbook, but if you notice, your phone also keeps a track of where a call is dialed from up to how many minutes, and when a call is received, it also keeps track of those details because it is mandatory to do so. So all of that details have to be entered, like when was the call received and when did you call someone on radio, and all the details regarding that. So station logbook has to be maintained very religiously. There are digital ways of doing it using an Excel sheet, but a pen and paper copy has to be kept at your station, because anytime inspector can come and like take an inspection around your home. It is not something scary, but you just have to have all of these things in place. Then there is an equipment register that will contain the detail of every radio equipment that you are in possession of. Like if you have a radio receiver, a shortwave receiver, a shortwave transmitter, or any antenna that you might build or purchase, that has to be mentioned in the equipment register that you will maintain. Format and all I'll discuss later. Then WPC, we remember from Wireless Planning and Coordination Wing, they issue circulars from time to time. Also, there are bylaws, that is the Constitution of India, and like the Gazette of India also contains time to time some notifications regarding amateur radio service and all of that. All of those copies and circulars have to be a copy of that. Like when they issue all of these circulars, they write copy to all licensed amateur radio operators. So it is your duty then to acquire a copy, using just print out one copy of the circular, whatever it is released, and keep that in your register that is there. Next thing obviously is the license. So whatever is mentioned in bold letters there, it is mandatory. Other things are extremely optional, you don't need all of those things. So you might be wondering, that is strange, I don't need a radio to be a radio operator. But as I just said, that your club might have a radio, so you don't need that if you are not ready for it yet. But you must need your logbook, equipment register, license, and all of this. So I'll just share you some pictures of all of these equipments. So this is like a shack. As I said, shack means a table or workplace from where you are operating. So here a person has kept all of their equipment organized at this particular table. So this is their shack, a ham radio operator's shack. And you might find various pictures and various varieties of shacks all around the world, but most of them look similar only because the equipments are same, most of it. You might see some walkie talkies here. Now the thing about walkie talkies is, walkie talkie is a layman term. We do not use the term called walkie talkies, we use the term called handheld or handy talkies, short HT. Handy talkies, these are handy talkies, these are not walkie talkies to us. There are some ammeters, voltmeters, power meters, and all of that, SWR meters that I just said, all of those are there. These are measuring equipments. And then there is a bigger radio at the bottom. This is like a really top level radio they have purchased. But anyway, this might be one of the things that we might be able to compensate on. There are various models of radio, so we all know. but then there is a base station here. This is like, this can be fit into a car dashboard or something like that, that was shown earlier. And then there is another power meter here. Like power meters are generally classified by the various frequencies that they can accept, so that is there. So I'll just show you some of the equipments that are here. So the first one, as you can see on the top left, is like, this is called a base station. Why it is called a base station is that it differs from a handy talkie or walkie talkie, like in the middle. This is a walkie talkie. This is totally mobile, you can carry it anywhere. This is a base station, mobile base station or fixed base station. This you can fix in your car. Sorry. Then it will become your mobile base station. Otherwise you can have it at your desk. This usually has a very high power rating than your walkie talkie or handy talkie, whatever you call it. So that is why it is called a base station. The device above it, it is called your microphone, and your speaker. All of that is, sometimes a speaker is in the microphone, that set only. Otherwise a speaker is also attached to like the body of the speaker, body of this radio, this rectangular thing. Below that you can see two devices. These are called telegraph keys or Morse keys. These are only used to send like Morse signals. We'll come to that later, but these are not required at every radio station. This is only if you are sending Morse. What you might require, if you want to actually operate a radio station, you want a handy talkie or a base station, one of them might work. And you will be ready to go, and an antenna and all of the things that come along with it. So you might need only one of these equipments if you want. Then this is on the top left. This is a very high frequency or VHF base station. This is a VHF, UHF. What these terms are, we will discuss later when we get into the theory. But these are different frequency bands. So this particular radio works on VHF band. This works on VHF and UHF. This bigger radio works on only on high frequency. High frequency means short waves. So this is for long distance communication, and that is why it is very bulky and large. This can like these machines can like output sometimes even 400 watts, 1001 kilowatt radiation. So that is why they're big and bulky. But there are high frequency shortwave radios like smaller than like this as well. This looks like a base station, but it is like a very low powered transceiver, only 10 watts or 30 watts. They can also be used for like long distance communication. So these are the different commercial and non-commercial. This can be built at home, this one. These are the different brands which are making this commercial transceiver transmitters and receivers and all of that, those things. In the next slide, this particular equipment is called a SWR and power meter. Both of them are inbuilt. SWR, as I said, I'll covering it in theory. SWR usually means standing wave ratio. That means if you are sending 100 watts from your radio to your antenna, there is no guarantee that this that 100 watts is going out into the air. There might be a possibility that out of that 100 watt, 50 watt is being reflected back from your wire, and it is coming back to your radio. Now that is dangerous because not all radios have a safety mechanism to handle that much input power. So that will damage your radio. To monitor that situation, standing wave ratio, it is like a ratio between there is a formula for calculating that standing wave ratio, but it is just a measure between the sent power, like the transmitted power and reflected power, so that your equipment stays safe. The desirable is 1:1, so that that all of the power that is you are transmitting, that goes out into the air, none of it is reflected back. Next is the power meter, how much power you are transmitting. Then there is your frequency counter. This is like another handheld device. This is like just to make sure, if your radio is saying that I am transmitting on 14 megahertz, it is actually transmitting on 14 megahertz and it is not transmitting on 14.2 and 13.8. So to just make sure that frequency counter is also recommended to be in your position. Next, these are power supplies. SMPS, you might want to call it. Switching mode power supply is the full form for SMPS. Uh, but these are like power supplies. These provide a DC voltage to the radio. All the radio equipment works on internally it works on DC only. The reason for that, when you send out your radio waves, that we will see that it is a form of a AC current, AC signal. It is alternating. There is a waveform, but a direct current is there. It is just there so that the interference is minimal. So otherwise, if you have a AC power line going right across your radio, that might interfere with the actual signals being generated. So for that purpose, DC power is used to power all the radios. These are some power supplies, SMPS. Next, these are some special equipments called dummy loads. They are like a replacement for a actual antenna. So if you actually connect a wire that acts as an antenna, like in common sense and layman terms, but but if you are not sure what you are transmitting and you are doing some test, and for example you are transmitting at high power and you do not want that to go on air, like you are just testing, you are not sure what you are doing, so you might want to have a dummy load that is like, it is like a sink, an infinite sink that it will accept infinite power up to a rated limit, obviously, that you can just transmit into that. It will not be radiated. It will just go into a vacuum chamber or a void, you might say, that is going to a void. All of your transmission will go into a void, and you can check your radio setting is correct or not, and you are doing things correctly or not. This is just a backup device. Then you must have an antenna if you are operating a radio station. These are some examples. There are simple antennas, there are complex antennas, obviously. All of these are from India. All of these pictures are from India. So first of all, you have like this sort of a tower, and on top of that some sort of antenna is there. We will talk about different types of antennas in detail. So these are like some sort of antennas that you might commonly see with a radio operator. We'll be talking about the exact details of how antenna is made and what are the different types of antennas and what are the characteristics, but that comes really late. This particular book that you might see here, this is like your equipment register and station logbook. This is just I have made a small notebook I have taken and covered it with black and put some stickers on it. So you might make your own as well, or you can take just a simple diary or a register and you can use that as your logbook. This is like how a logbook is maintained. I am not sure if you can see it correctly or not, but otherwise I'll set in the slides. You can see like I have mentioned the call signs of the stations I have contacted, the time which I have contacted, and like the frequency and all of the. There are many other details that you might not get right now, but otherwise like these are the different equipments and documents you might have at your radio station, and these are like some practical device requirements for operating a radio station. But otherwise you only need these last four. I'll send my copy of my license. You can see how a license looks like and how the circulars and laws look like, how the equipment register looks like. I'll send all of it across. But for today I think this much is more than enough, and please go through all of these slides once and please ask if any doubts are there up to this point, because after that now we will go into like the very much details of how to go on uh, for the exam. Go on, we will discuss the syllabus and all of these things like that. So for now this is all of it. There is a small homework that I want to give to all of you. So on the next slide there is a table. This is a table of phonetic alphabet. This is because when you are transmitting, the other person might not be sure what you spoke. Like you said MM0XT, but maybe during transmission this got distorted, and the person only they heard MROXT. So that is a point, a potential confusion point, and they might you send that my name is Sudipto, and they do not get it and they get it as stupido. Something like that might happen. So in order to avoid that, what we all of the hams and even ITU agrees to that, that we must use a particular language for speaking out different letters while we are transmitting and doing all of that. So there is a table here. Please go through it and if possible please learn it, that you can see that how do you learn it and how do you say it, like A for alpha, B for bravo, C for charlie, just like that. You have to uh, go along like that. You can see that there are some punctuation marks as well. This is not a full stop, this is not a period, this is called a stop only. So go through this table and try to pronounce your own name in phonetics. For me it will be Sierra Uniform Delta India Papa Tango Oscar. So you can go and see that what are the different letters that correspond to different these phrases, and please learn it by heart. You have like one full week. I'll just come to it next week, and we'll have a short test. You will all be saying these things. So yeah, this is like a task, a home task for all of you. Please go through this table, this language phonetics for the different alphabets, and that will be all for today. Thank you so much for attending this first session. We hope that we can go on till the end and we can complete all of the syllabus in time only. Hi, Ramji. Yes, we have a class tomorrow as well. Tomorrow, the class timings are in the morning, 9:15 to 10:15. Just like this class will also be recorded, so you can watch it at your own leisure. But please do not sit on it. That is, I have sent the recording, and then you view that recording 1 month later, and then you have it out. Then it might not be possible for others to get understand what your doubt is, right? So please make sure you watch this recording within the week before the next class starts, so you are on the same page. Other than that, if you have any feedback you might type it here on the group or just DM me, send me a message directly. We have covered 26 slides of this particular slide deck that I have. I'll share that across. You can I'll only send this 26 slides only, so that you are prepared up to this point only. It is really important that you limit your sources right now because you are learning something new. So you will get confused if you try to research a lot of things. I will be encouraging your research you at a certain point, but then I'll let you know when that point comes. But until then, please carry on with me at this pace, so we will be at the same page. So for now, your thing is, yeah, two things: your grid square, what your location is, try to find that out, and try to learn that alphabets, the phonetics, alpha, bravo, charlie. So yeah, I think one of our mates is typing something. I'll wait for them. But otherwise, thank you all for attending this session. We'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you, Srito. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mutia. Thank you, Ramji. Thank you, Naresh. Yeah, you may now leave the meeting. I'll send across the slides. Bye.